Welcome to the very first episode of Press X to Continue, the video game podcast. I'm Kyle.
I'm Alex.
I'm Christian.
And today we're going to be talking about, for episode 1, our favorite childhood video games. So, were you guys like, were you guys Nintendo kids, like Sony kids or Xbox kids?
So I grew up with, my first system was a Super Nintendo, and we had Game Boys. I have like every generation of Game Boy from the first one. So like I've gotten real homey with Nintendo over the years. But then we got the PlayStation, of course.
Yeah, because like I remember I think I had a Game Boy Color with Pokemon Blue, and that shit was the fucking bomb.
Hell yeah, dude.
That was the bomb.
With all the worm lights and
yeah. The only thing
battery pack.
Yeah. Oh, and then I upgraded to a DS after that. Remember when they had like the reader light?
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Because the original one didn't have the backlight, so you had to have like a light attachment. And it was so stupid. But I think that my parents, like, this is what they don't understand is like, as a kid, when you buy a kid a console, you got to get him some fucking games.
Right.
So my parents bought me.
One.
I had the OG DS. And I don't even think I had any like Nintendo style game. I think I had like something, I don't remember what I had, but it was like a racing game that was like very generic. And then my
Wasn't even Mario Kart?
I don't think it was.
Oh,
I
Lord.
think
I don't think they made a Mario Kart back then for the DS.
Oh yeah.
They had Mario Kart. And then I got
badass.
and then I think when remember when the DS Lite came out with the flip
Dude,
up?
that was my jam. Like,
This is what my parents did. My parents went balls to the wall getting me the Zelda edition DS. Like
do you still have it? I will buy it from you.
the bronze one with the with the triad
that
logo,
one,
whatever
that
it
one
is.
is pretty hot.
Yeah, no, I don't have it anymore. And then my parents didn't even get me the Zelda game. They got me a Naruto game for it. It was the only game I ever
You say
owned.
that like that's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's
Well,
not a bad thing.
You
Well,
got, got the Zelda DS
I did.
with the Naruto game.
Yeah,
My
but-
childhood would have been made.
Yeah, but that game got old really fast.
Yeah.
I remember playing as like Sasuke fighting bats in a cave. That was a mission. But yeah, Christian, what about you?
I grew up with the Nintendo, but I had a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
I never had, and then I had an N64, which I feel like was the natural progression.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
But the Super Nintendo, I had Super Mario. I don't know which one. Which one was like the main
It was
one?
Super
that came
Mario
with it?
World for
Okay.
the Super Nintendo.
That's probably what I had.
Yeah.
And then I had that for a while, and then I think my parents felt bad for my cousin because he didn't have one, so they got rid of it, and then they got me a Nintendo 64, which made no sense.
Yeah, right.
Like, Super Nintendo, I feel like, was the superior one because you didn't really know, like, the N64 had this weird controller. Like, you didn't really know what to expect from it.
Oh,
know?
yeah, seriously.
So
Well,
it's
like, I mean, what is it? That D-pad on the left side. Have you ever used it?
Never used it for anything
what,
ever.
on the SNES?
No, on the N64.
Dude, that controller. What engineer?
Who was thinking of that?
Tell me why why is it so comfortable though?
It
Like when
really
you are
is,
just
though.
held onto the C buttons in the middle, like it felt good
It
for how
felt-
wild it looked.
And then the Z
Like,
trigger at the bottom of that middle one.
it was like,
Chef's kiss.
Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know why. My parents, in terms of Nintendo, it was never like the NES or the SNES or like the 64.
the SNES.
This is always what it's called, the SNES, the SNES. But
SNES.
because like I was more because I had the handheld devices. But like I said, I only had like one or maybe two max like per like the handheld device. Like I said, Game Boy Color. I think all I had was Pokemon Blue. I think that's all I
For
had.
Game Boy Color, I definitely had Pokemon Red. I
Yeah.
had Red, and then I think I had a Kirby game.
Okay.
That's very blurry for me, though,
Man.
the Game Boy Colors.
I was gonna say I have so many Pokemon.
I never
Color
had a Game
games,
Boy
like-
Advance, though, but I would always take my friends' Game Boy Advance and play WarioWare.
Oh, there you go. WarioWare is always a
Best
classic.
games.
The
Yeah.
new WarioWare is a blast.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it's
I
so
haven't
much
played
fun
it.
on the Switch. Like,
Yeah, like and for me, because growing up, like I said, I had those, but then my main thing was we'd always just like go to like my grandma and grandpa's house for like holidays and things like that, or just to see him. And he had a Sega Dreamcast from when it came out,
oh wow,
like that old. So like us cousins, we always played like Toe Jam and Earl and like all that shit on the Sega.
Nice.
Yeah.
So that was like my exposure. And Sonic, we had Sonic, and
Yeah.
then my first I think home like console was the PlayStation 1.
Okay.
And that the first game, and I don't even think it was I don't think my parents bought it for me. I think my dad had one. And then it got, because I think my dad told me this. He said that, like, when I became an adult, he goes, "We didn't buy that for you for Christmas. It was mine, but then we wrapped it up as a present and then gave it to you for Christmas."
Hey, man,
and
that's
I go,
just as good.
But then again, this was before the no, because the PS2 came out in I think 2000.
Yeah, because when the PS2 came out, they made that slim PlayStation.
Yeah, so I didn't get the PS2 until the Slim came out, which was like 2002.
Okay.
So my first console was the PS1, and let me tell you, I had the first Tomb Raider,
Oh, yeah.
and I had the OG, the best PlayStation video game of all time, no cap, Metal Gear Solid.
Yo, Metal Gear Solid is... It's solid, man.
It really
I'm
is.
still thinking about the triangle boobs.
Oh, yeah, man. First, like,
pyramid
exposure
boobs.
to, like, a tank top and
Yep,
boobs, man.
yep.
I don't care. Like,
What a
how old
Just
you
all
were.
polygons.
what
polygons.
Give me
when
the
you-
triangles.
Yep.
you can so you can actually get a I don't think it's an actual PC version. I think it's just the port with like the keyboard controls, but you can buy it for the PC. And of course, as soon as I saw that you could, I bought it immediately
Yeah.
without an emulator, without any of the
Oh,
extra
how
bullshit.
bad is it?
Honestly, not bad.
Really?
It's not buggy at all. It's like it's the original game from 1998. Like in all, like the startup menu is the same. Everything is exactly the same. It's just with keyboard and mouse.
Definitely.
But
That's
I didn't
sweet.
I didn't even bother using because you can plug in a controller and use that anyway. But the cool thing that I found with that is, and we'll get more in depth with like Metal Gear Solid in a future episode.
Oh,
yeah. But the cool thing that they did with PC is that there was a quirk, and like I said, for 1998, like it was so ahead of its time.
Oh, for real.
Because even when you look at it, yes, it's like it's cheesy and like it's just polygons, but it looked really good for that time.
Well, even like
And the
complexity
mechanics.
of the missions
Yeah.
that you had to
Yeah.
do.
The mechanics were really good,
Mm-hmm.
and like it was fully voice acted. The music was really good, but where there was a mission where you were fighting a boss that could like read your moves.
Oh, right. Always.
So the
that boss.
so
Yeah.
yeah, Psycho Mantis. So the trick was on the PlayStation 1, you had to plug your controller into the other controller port.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the key.
Yep.
But on
That's so cool.
on PC, if you have your controller plugged in via USB, you
Yeah.
had to switch it to another USB port. It was really cool. I
Could
was
you
like,
just like unplug it and plug it back into the same one now?
you probably could, but
Yeah.
I just did it
Yeah,
like old
just-
school. Yeah.
More mysticism
like,
if you're
I like
changing ports.
I sat
Right.
I sat there in the boss fight and I just paused it real quick because I was like shocked at that attention to detail for something like that. I was like, that's fucking awesome.
Still carried over.
Yeah.
Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, so
They
yeah,
literally made code a character.
no, like that's how cool that was. So
It's genius.
yeah.
Like,
yeah, so for me, like I said, being more of a Sony kid than anything else, it was definitely Metal Gear Solid. Final Fantasy was kind of in there, but I wasn't super into Final Fantasy as a kid. I played them, but didn't really care too much for them.
no, the turn-based stuff was just too slow for like my ADHD.
Which is
ass.
why I just mindlessly played them. I didn't pay attention to the story.
And you're not doing math either. You're like you're
No.
not doing like, oh, this attack do this much damage.
No, right.
Like,
Like,
you're
I
not-
can't think about that when I'm
Right.
that young. I couldn't. Like,
Yeah. So luckily, I think when the PlayStation 2 came out, I was blessed with having not only the PlayStation 2 Slim, but I think I might have gotten an Xbox, like the original one. Like,
oh, the big guy. Huh?
yeah. Oh, dude, let me tell you this. That thing was fucking huge.
Dude, they were massive, and those controllers, like you had
Yeah.
to have mitts to play that
Yeah.
thing. Like,
I will say that like and people were giving Microsoft shit over like not really ever changing. Well, they didn't change the controller from the 1 to the X or S, like that series.
yeah,
And I'm like, dude, don't fix what ain't broke. Honestly, like the Xbox 360 controller is the best controller ever made.
it feels
like,
so
hands
good.
down.
Like I've learned everything I could on that. Like it's incredible. And so I'm glad they didn't get too far away from it with the Xbox One,
Yeah.
because that Elite controller for those like just felt good and natural. You know.
I tell you what though, like considering that you did have online games back then, like on console, but it really was like no.
What
like,
were the online games for PlayStation 2 again? I remember like they had that whole like thing
Big
set
Red
up.
1 for sure was one.
Big Red One.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was Call of Duty.
Okay.
But that was like an offshoot of Call of Duty 2, which was like a special edition Big Red 1,
Yeah, gotcha.
which was I never played online because I didn't know how to set that up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there were a lot of hoops to jump through. You had to do it. It was like a LAN or like back when like DSL was a thing. It was right after like when you only had AOL to get online. It was during the DSL days. But I remember playing. The only game I think I played online for PlayStation 2 was Battlefront 2.
I forgot about that.
OG Battlefront 2 was the fucking bomb.
Yeah.
It's still good. I have it on my computer.
Same.
Like Origin had it for like $3.
Oh, that's funny.
2 years ago. It was
Yeah,
great.
it's one of those games that still holds up today.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
Remember Jedi battles on Tatooine in Mos Eisley?
Oh my lord.
Excuse me?
Yes. Like
All the character like battles, that shit was amazing.
it was so good, and it was exactly like what kids wanted.
Yeah.
Like, because what is it? They had only one game where you got to play as a Jedi, like before that. And that was this game called Jedi Power Battles. You could be like Mace Windu or Plo Koon.
Sure.
You got to like use the Force, and it was like the first time. And then they were like, "Well, here it is, Battlefront 2. Have fun." Like,
Throwing lightsabers and force jumping. Yeah.
yeah.
I'll do you one better. Even before that, Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah, Knights of the Old Republic,
I was going to say, the Old Republic.
Not the MMO.
Dude, I love the MMO. I still tune in every now and
the
then.
MMO is not bad.
It was so good. It was fun to like travel all the planets, like, and just play Star Wars World of Warcraft.
Sure.
But then you had the kids that were like, they were the kids that thought that being the Sith was the coolest. Like,
Edgy.
oh my.
Right
yeah,
here.
the edgelords that are like, oh, fucking
Right
lightning.
here.
Yeah.
I was all about that red lightsaber.
That's
And
pretty true.
How dark and stormy I needed to be to wield it.
Oh, I have a very relevant question. I'm going to Disneyland in a couple weeks.
Yes.
Going to Galaxy's Edge.
Oh, my Lord.
What color would your lightsaber be?
Mine?
Yeah.
If they have yellow.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Really?
I was thinking yellow or like a white.
For sure. If you see it, I will cash app you money. Like, I'm no joke.
Make
like,
2 of them. They're so expensive. Though.
I have a saber already from Galaxy's Edge.
Really?
Yeah, I
Is it
have
worth it?
I have a dude, they're so cool. I have Anakin's.
Okay.
My brother went down there. He got Luke's and I got Anakin, so like Anakin still has like all the black and stuff
Sure.
on it. It's super fucking cool, man.
See, I was looking online. I'm like, oh man, it's like $220 now.
Dude, I'll send you pictures. Like you get it's a kind of a cheap plastic case with
Sure.
like a plastic set-in thing, but there's like one of those like fake satin like things that it kind of sits in.
Okay.
You know, it looks really nice. It's a great like shelf piece, but the actual quality of the saber hilt
right.
Sure.
is unbelievable. Like
Awesome.
it is solid.
The Disney
Like,
version?
Very
Yeah,
much
the
more
Disney
excited
ones.
now.
I've heard so I follow a couple like Star Wars creators on TikTok.
Yeah.
And they've all kind of like not
They
that
make their own, huh?
no, not that. They
Okay.
because there's a lot of different other third-party brands that make
Right.
lightsabers. They say NeoPixel is like way better than Disney. And it's like better quality across the
for
board.
sure. That's one thing too. I've heard about like even the blades, like the way the lights light up in the blades. Like people always on TikTok, you know, they're always doing like the
Yeah.
comparison. It'll be like Galaxy's Edge blade, this brand, and then this brand. And like one of the
Right.
brands, like they had like Kylo's lightsaber, and
Sure.
it like came out with like the crackly light. Like
Yeah.
it was super cool.
Yeah, I really wanted it for the experience, you know?
Dude, you're gonna love it.
Like the atmosphere just seems so cool in there.
Dude, it's Star Wars. There it is. You're at Mos Eisley. You know what I mean? You get to
That's so
walk
sick.
in the Falcon. That's a dream of mine. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember if you guys like going back to Star Wars Battlefront, the space battles, bro.
the
Dude.
dog fighting was awesome.
The
Yep.
fact that you could fly to the enemy ship and then like destroy it from the inside was fucking insane.
Destroy it from the inside or
And
like
outside.
pick off like specific guns. It wasn't
Yeah.
just shoot at this ship and deal damage.
Yeah.
Like you had an objective to come at. Like,
Even on Hoth. Like even on
Yeah.
Hoth, we
Oh,
would have
man.
to cripple the walkers.
Yeah.
Like,
seriously.
it's-
And why is that so hard?
I know.
Why is it so
It was
fucking
so
hard?
It was
hard.
pretty hard. Yeah.
if you turn too much, you run into it. You turn too
Because you have to harpoon it and then like wrap around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You turn too much outside, you'll lose the tether.
You couldn't let the tether get like
No.
too long,
Yep.
you know. But yeah, you couldn't crash into it. It was like so touchy.
God, it was so
But
good.
being good at it, like my older brother, he was good at it.
Yeah.
You know, you'd be out there like, "There's an AT-AT, get it!"
Everybody swarm.
Like, please, I can't do it. I got the scout droids.
Yeah. Or what was one game I used to play all the time? I think the what was it?
On what? or just anything?
I guess let's go back to PS2.
Okay,
Well, we could even go before that.
So
if you want, just
N64.
Chronologically, we could go through this.
I'll do you one better. So I remember we had obviously I'm sure you guys had like a family computer growing up, right?
I never used it for anything, but yeah.
Okay.
My first experiences with porn.
Mine was that space pinball game.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
No lie.
Well, all
I
right,
spent hours doing that shit.
Yep.
Besides the porn.
Yep.
Did you guys ever play Wolfenstein 3D?
I didn't, but I played Doom, so it's essentially the same thing.
My dad, he had all the maps on grid paper, and it was like the only PC game we had. So like,
shit,
it was so cool.
That
like,
that just reminded me.
fighting robot Hitler.
It was on PC and it was a Star Wars game, but it was like Doom. I can't remember what it was called.
I have it in my Steam library.
Rogue Squad.
No,
I don't think it was.
No.
But it was one of those games where I remember as a kid, you were like one of the missions you were like in the sewer and like there was like sewer monsters and it used to freak me out as a kid because I'm like, oh my god, I'm getting attacked. Oh god.
Sure.
And the part about that too is like you're in the water and it's like harming you.
Yeah.
Like one way or another.
And it pops up. You can see it sometimes. Yeah. So that was kind of weird.
I played one like that on the N64, but I think you played as Luke on Hoth.
Yeah.
No, you're thinking of
Is it Rogue Company?
Shadows of the Empire. No, you were Dash Rendar.
Oh, that's
He was that cool
right.
dude with like the blue like tunic and like the pants with the pads on it, and he had a cool like leather shoulder pads. Like
shit.
Yeah, dude. Like I love these old Star Wars games so much.
But I think actually I should have said this. Well, this was kind of during the PS2 era, but we had like we had a CTX computer, and then we eventually got a Dell like Optiplex or some shit. But
Yeah.
I remember playing like Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 where it was a top.
How were those? Because I never played those, and I always
how were they?
to.
They were really good.
I imagine
they were great. Yeah,
because those were Obsidian.
those were Obsidian. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, they made. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was them. I don't even think Bethesda was publishing for them yet, but yeah, so I played those. Mecha Warriors 1. Anybody?
I think I had that on DS.
They made it for
I
DS?
think it was a mech game for DS.
Okay. Yeah, Mecha Warriors, the very first one was
Right.
fucking dope.
It was hard.
That's a deep-seated memory. I'm trying to like think. But yeah, carry on. No,
What else repeat? Obviously Club Penguin. I mean, come on. Club Penguin, RuneScape.
I wasn't a Club Penguin kid. I was a RuneScape kid.
I played it a little bit. I played a little bit of RuneScape.
Yeah.
Killing chickens all day,
Dude,
selling feathers.
Going throwing tomatoes at people in the arena. That was my favorite. I feel like I probably just did that more than actually play the game as a kid.
Looking for a girlfriend.
Want to be my wife?
Yeah.
I think RuneScape was like
Some chicken meat.
I think RuneScape was the most heavily fucking botted game in existence. Everybody was a
God, though.
fucking bot just killing cows like all day long. Yeah.
Right.
We were bit mining for somebody.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
all it
Oh,
was.
for sure. Yeah.
That's all it was.
Now the community's even stronger.
Which is insane that a game like that has lasted this long.
Yeah, I
it
mean-
really is.
Dude, the new version is awesome.
Yeah.
It's,
Is it really?
it's like
Yeah.
it's nostalgic enough, like it still plays really similar to it.
Okay.
But it looks better, you're not this just I don't know.
There was a 3D update not too long ago for it.
Because like obviously now it's just called Classic RuneScape, but it looked like that for a while. Like for a long time it looked
Yeah.
like
Like
shit.
15 years.
Oh
if not
yeah,
more.
they never fucking updated it. Which I mean, I guess they didn't really have to, but
Nobody ever wanted it. Like,
That's true.
My buddy's a hardcore OSRS player,
yeah.
and they would take polls maybe once or twice a year. Nobody ever really wanted it. And the system that it's working on is like a 6-tick like system.
Okay.
Everybody
super
learned all
basic.
the animations and the timing and stuff, so it's like it took a long time to learn that stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody really wanted it to change. So now this
right.
recent update was just an HD update. It doesn't change the game. It just looks better.
Plays
Okay.
just like it.
Yeah.
Still go down there.
Yeah.
Down in mines.
Yep.
Otherwise, Alex, for sure you'll remember this. Remember when Diablo 2 was like 8 discs?
The only reason I got rid of them is because I like moved into like a different place like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Like
I would've kept
that's
them.
when it was just like a matter of space.
It's
like
true,
I
yeah.
didn't have a computer with a disk drive because those aren't a thing anymore.
Right.
What's funny about that is that like especially Diablo, and I guess maybe you can put Warcraft 3 into that mix, like all the expansion discs. Those discs were never in their cases.
No, God, it was just a stack of them.
They
were
just
in
on the
like
fucking
one,
case, yeah.
like sitting up on like the desk or something.
Yep.
Or maybe you had them like in the CD book from the 90s, the black CD book. That's where we kept all of our PC games.
For sure.
We had this game called Nox. It was like KNOX. I don't remember what it was just like some like top-down fantasy game. It was like I don't know if you ever played Baldur's Gate. It was kind of like that.
Okay.
It's kind of like Baldur's Gate. Oh, which again, the fact that they put Baldur's Gate on PS2, oh, that was awesome. It was Dark Alliance 2, I think is what it was.
They just remastered that one recently too.
Yeah, I have it on PC. I have yet to play it though, but yeah, again, like so many great games. Great. Just the PS2 era, I think I looked up just like because there's so many fucking PS2 games.
Yeah.
Like there's so many. There's like 1,200 different PS2 games, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm not surprised.
There's a lot.
There's a large gap between the PS2 and the PS3 though, so
Right.
That's a very good point. It's I guess because the PS3 came out what 06 or 07?
Something like that.
I want to say 06 that came out. Maybe yeah. Well, I think 6 years is the standard console life.
sure.
Well, I was gonna say what was the Xbox counterpart when that came out?
360.
Okay.
When what the
PS?
PS?
Yeah,
when the
then
PS
they made the 360 Slims. Okay.
because the 360 came out.
Different iterations of
Yeah.
each console.
Well, the 360 came out when that launched in 05. It was a fucking disaster.
Was it?
Because
I didn't get one right
the
away.
360, the original OG white 360, like the base console, was a hardware fucking failure, dude. The Red Ring of Death was like, I think that.
Oh, I do remember.
I think they did research on like launch, on launch consoles, like for like during that area, like launch PS3 versus launch Xbox 360. No joke. I think this is a real number. I think the 360 had like a 40% failure rate.
I'm not surprised.
And the PS3 theirs was like, I think 7%. Yeah. It was not a good year.
The Red Ring of Death was the OG pandemic for the US.
It really was.
What did you do? You had to go outside? No.
Very few people that knew how to fix it.
Because the one fix that to this day does not make any fucking sense. You had to wrap your shit in a towel and let it sit for a while. You had to overheat the console to make it work again. I never understood that.
I remember that.
Yeah. So if you get the Red Ring of Death, the trick was you wrapped a towel around it and then let it sit and like just sit in its own heat. I don't know why that worked, but apparently it did. I think I've only gotten Red Ring once, and I think I just turned it off and turned it back on. It was all cool.
Yeah.
But
no, my first 360, I remember like we shipped it out. Like Xbox like sent us like another box to ship it to them to like get fixed, and then it came back. It didn't cost anything.
Oh, cool.
It took like 2 months.
Yeah, no, for real, But then when I got my 360 Slim, when I had like my first apartment, remember I got the red ring on that, and I was pissed because it was the R2D2 edition.
Ooh.
Oh.
But there was that place up in Racine.
Yep.
That dude fixed them.
Piranha?
Yeah. Took it to him. It was done in 2 hours. I think I went down to like Cosmic Corner or something.
That's funny that he actually did it, because I took mine to his, and he gave me like 2 or 3 Xboxes before he found a good one.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he fixed it like in an afternoon.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now we're kind of in the world of like, instead of,
fuck it, I'll buy a PC where I can
fix
it.
Yeah.
Like,
We can just swap out components or whatever. The only thing that I hate about PC is like sometimes when you have like a boot failure, trying to troubleshoot why you have a boot failure, it's kind of annoying. Like if you're not posting, is it the RAM? Is it your OS? Is it your motherboard being being shoddy? Is it your CPU being that's like not planted right? It's like a whole bunch of other shit. I can't tell you how many times and I've built a couple PCs.
Yeah.
It still drives me like up the wall to just do maintenance on it. Like if something
really
goes wrong,
I don't know. I think it's fun.
Because
find it
I'll
fun.
give you an example. So
if it's hardware, like if I don't have to go in the back, like start messing with my wires.
It's hardware based. No, it's hard. No, it's never software. Not usually, but I think when I built, well, actually it was the last one I built. I always had like this weird thing with Windows where on like the first boot, I like to call it the cold start because it's essentially what it was.
Oh yeah.
On like the cold start, it would like Windows had this weird thing where like the OS would like twitch and glitch, and you couldn't do
really?
anything. Like everything would move like it like.
Were you paying for it?
Oh no, of course not. I went on eBay. I paid $1 for a Windows key, like everybody else. Come on, who's buying?
Right.
I'm not paying $60. I think it's actually more than that. It's probably like I think it's $100 for a Windows key.
That's like the biggest
That's just
scam
the
of all
key.
time.
It is the biggest scam. Yeah,
yeah. If you want
And
everything,
it's like another like
$300.
$40 for like Office. Like no, get the fuck out of here. So when I spent another $1 and got Windows 10 Pro. You know, because it came with Office, but because like I said, that version of Windows, and I only discovered that it was Windows like not that long ago. That it was just a bad copy of like the OS.
Oh yeah.
Because I just would restart it and it would be fine. I would have to, like I said, the cold start, it would be weird and twitchy and I couldn't do anything, and then I would just restart it and it'd be all good. But then I don't know what I did, but I was changing. Oh, actually, this is a good point. So. This is why I had to build a new one. Since everything was switching to like the X570 platform, if you're an AMD user, if you're an AMD person, because like Intel's got like all their weird fucking numbering systems, I can never keep up.
Come on, we're all AMD, right?
We're all AMD, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I built the previous one like on a B450 platform. So I had like a Ryzen like 3000 series, blah blah blah. Yeah. So and like I had that Windows problem, blah blah blah. But for Christmas, I think maybe this past year, this last year's Christmas, I got a new like cooler for my CPU because I always just use like the stock AMD one. I never overclocked it because I just didn't feel the need.
Nah.
So I was like, okay, whatever.
It's fine without it. I don't know. Yeah, it's fun to do. But
but I got a new cooler so that I could just do that. And I had amassed a lot of the parts to build a new PC on like the new X570 platform, like because the Ryzen 5000 series was coming out, and then Nvidia announced like the 3000 series like GPUs. So I was acquiring all the parts to build the next platform, and
did you hit the doorstop we all hit?
Yeah, so that's exactly. So
not enough room.
So not even that. So last Christmas when I got the air cooler, I had everything. I think because the CPUs hadn't come out yet, but I had, or maybe they did, but I didn't have the GPUs. The only thing I was missing because they got launched, but you couldn't fucking buy one.
Nah.
So I wanted to go put the air cooler in, and putting an air cooler or like any cooler, like the bracket system on the AMD motherboards is fucking ass.
Besides their own home built ones, like
it's fucking ass.
It's hard for people to adapt to.
You have to put hooks. It's tension from hooks. It's not like screwed in.
It's just held on.
I don't. I've hated that because Intel it's just already there. It's just you just screw the bitch right in.
Bolt it on.
That's the only. As much as I hate the Intel platform for being like not backwards compatible and like all the other like it's not you're paying X amount of dollars for not that much performance when you compare it to AMD.
Right.
The fact that they nail the bracket like so perfectly, but then AMD's is just so trash.
AMD's like, well, you're buying AMD, so you're probably going to buy other coolers in the long run.
Right.
So
because try everything.
I had to take apart a lot more than I intended to just put the air cooler in, and especially when like you're trying to press this air cooler into the hooks and get it tense enough, and then put fans on, and you get sliced by the heatsink blades. And I no joke, I think because I bled on the motherboard, it fried it.
Probably.
I'm not joking.
Well, especially blood, because blood has a lot more iron in it. It's much more conductive than.
And let me tell you what I had.
Regular water.
And I'm really sad because this motherboard was fucking top notch. It was a Asus ROG Strix B450. And I was really pissed.
Mistake.
And I didn't know it, so I put I think I finally put the cooler in, and I was like, okay, fine. And it took like forever to do because it do a lot more shit than I intended. Turned it on, wouldn't fire up, and I'm because that
just nothing.
No, nothing, nothing. And I
didn't even give you. It's got to have like debug lights. Nothing.
Nope, nothing. No LED lights at all. So I thought, well, then I'm like, well, not gonna, because I thought maybe it was the RAM. Because sometimes if your RAM isn't placed right, it won't even like show like a failure boot. So I was like, oh shit. Okay, well, I had to kind of like troubleshoot this because I didn't know it was the motherboard yet. So I kind of just built like a test bench for it where I just had the PSU just sitting out and then just plugged into the motherboard to see if the LED light would come on for power.
Nothing. Oof.
So I thought, well, I just ruined that board because I have another board in my
The worst part about those companies is like they know like they're that touchy.
They are, but they're not. I'm surprised how much I've like fiddled with a motherboard and it's been fine. Like they're only really you just can't. Conductivity is the only real danger. Right. You could bang it up with a screwdriver, it'll be fine. But
I'm talking about like something sweaty with keyboards though. You guys have seen those mineral builds.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh my lord, that just hurts to watch. Like I get it, it works, whatever. But why?
I know.
Why?
Yeah, so I ended up because I found it was the motherboard, so I thought, well, fuck, motherboard's fried, so I got to replace everything out of it anyway, and just do it all over again. So I ended up
What'd you get?
I ended up just what?
Did you get a new motherboard?
Well, like I said, I already had all the parts to build my new PC. But once I could get a new GPU, and once the 5000 series was coming out, so I was like, well, now I kind of have to build my new one now. So I spent like a whole day, like we're talking like 24 hours. I didn't sleep, just rebuild my PC because it was so many fucking issues that I deal with.
Yeah,
and luckily I built the power unit or the PSU I had bought to replace the old one.
Yeah, you got that big bad boy, don't you?
Was a modular one.
Oh,
because the old one was not modular. It
really?
It was just a big fucking wad of like ketchup and mustard cables.
Yeah.
I got the modular one. I'll never look back.
No,
it's
dude,
so much better.
Once they started developing those, especially like Corsairs, like PSUs, like they're just so solid. Like they're so nice. Just set it in there.
Especially if you have a Corsair.
Especially if you sweat nothing. Right. Like
especially if you have a Corsair case. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Sure. They're just like, here's the spot for our box.
Yeah.
Like,
because I have a Corsair case, but my EVGA 850 watt Supernova is a little bit beefier for the PSU slot, so I had to kind of give it some force. But yeah, I ended up having to build my new PC because I fried the old fucking motherboard. And
way to go!
I did. I was fortunate where when the 5000 series Ryzen came out, like for AMD, I was able to get one right away.
Oh,
so I got the Ryzen 7 5800X.
Ooh.
So the only thing I'm missing for the new build is the GPU, which I still have not been able to get.
Right.
Which if you guys ever do the Newegg shuffle, this is how they get you. These fucking bastards.
What do they do, Kyle?
What they do is instead of like you entering to just win the GPU, they make you enter in for the fucking combo. So I always do like the 30.
Here's your chance to buy it with something else.
No, because
take this too.
Because I've technically actually won the shuffle twice, but the combo was $1,500, and I couldn't just buy the GPU. Because they were trying to bundle it with a new PSU, a monitor, and RAM on top of like the 3070, and I'm like, dude, no, what the fuck? I just want the card.
It's funny you mention that because my buddy actually did get a 3080.
Out of the Newegg shuffle.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Like I said, I've won it twice. I've just been bamboozled. But
I just did the shuffle.
Anyway,
dual RTX 3060.
Like
469.
I will say the 3060 is a very compared to the 3070, especially during price right now.
Yeah,
3060 is a really good
it's reasonable.
Economy level competitor.
It's a very good price point.
It's a very good price point, and you still get borderline 4K gaming with ray tracing. So I'll take that. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, what's it called? Yeah, what I'm rocking right now. Actually, the card that I do have, I love it because it's just tried and true. My 1660 Super is a fucking beast.
Hey, there you go.
It's a fucking beast. I really do love that card.
Yeah.
I built my brother a PC for the past holiday season, and I wanted him to not have to automatically have to upgrade right away.
Yeah.
Because even with my card now, I'm now at the point where it would be this is the time to upgrade if it's plausible, because games are slowly but surely requiring beefier and beefier, graphics cards. I couldn't. A 1660 Super now, if I look at my card on Newegg, we're talking $600. I paid $200 for that once upon a time. Maybe I paid $250. Actually, I think I paid $250 at launch when it launched.
That's this whole bit mining craze right now, man.
Yeah.
It's driving that whole entire market up, and it's painful and agonizing.
But what did you so to kind of go back to
I was thinking
childhood. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was thinking along the same vein as you.
Going back to childhood nostalgia.
Yeah, childhood nostalgia. Like, question for you guys: what was like that one game? Like, there was at least like one or a series that's just like your game that you just played over and over again. Yeah, what was that game for you?
I think the first game I actually felt with that was, I've told you guys this before, but BioShock. BioShock was my all-time favorite game. I know it scared the shit out of me, but BioShock was the game that actually had like a cohesive narrative, something that like forced you into that world. It was scary as shit when it came out. I don't know how I ended up getting it. Yeah. I think I might have played it at somebody's house, and I was obsessed right away.
It was just like, it was really well built. It was a ton of fun to play.
Yeah.
Like, you had your plasmids.
You had a wrench. You had a Tommy gun event.
This is one of the first couple games like at that level that really made me think about like ammo consumption. Oh, my gun isn't my main weapon here.
Right.
I need to think about something
You
else.
gotta think about like if there's water on the ground, if the splicer's chasing you or something like that. It's just, and then you have to watch out for big daddies and little sisters, and the
Fucking
game
terrifying.
The game was just so good. It was way too good for me playing that young because I don't think I appreciated it until the second one came out.
Oh, okay.
And then I played that one.
Arguably, to go off of what you were saying, arguably the BioShock 2 is the best one in the series.
BioShock 2 is incredible.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
BioShock 2 is fun, but I think I had the most fun on Infinite.
Which
I agree.
To kind of
agree.
To address something, especially to the people listening, BioShock Infinite did not get a lot of love. It got a lot of fucking hate. It got a lot of fucking hate.
Nope.
Let me tell you this. BioShock, the underwater city, was fucking dope.
Yeah.
Rapture was so fucking cool.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, it was such a cool new world to explore, blah, blah, blah.
It's an awesome idea, and it was like the horror of like an underwater city that you thought of as a kid at that time. Like, what if there's water crashing in?
Yeah.
What the hell kind of shit lives down here?
Right.
Oh, people crazed on drugs and plasmids.
Yeah.
Like,
and when Infinite came out, from a game developer standpoint, it made the most sense for them to go to the sky, basically.
and I'm glad that they went. It wasn't like this ground level game. You weren't playing in this city, like trying to discover what was going on. No, you were up in the fucking sky.
Yeah.
Like that was so cool to me.
Yeah. So I will say from like a creativity standpoint, the Infinite is pretty good. I think the story is a little clunky at times.
Yeah.
Can be.
But
Yes.
I think I think the game itself is very, very good.
I like how they tied it to the other ones.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I really enjoyed the tie to the other two.
Yep.
And I grew up in like a Catholic school, like Catholic family. So like the whole like God part, like really like kind of hit home for me.
The parallels towards, being,
Oh, is this a good thing?
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
It really
depends
is.
on how
Yeah.
you take it.
Yeah.
And that was just super, super cool to me. Like how you like walked through the that pool, like the baptism pool into the city.
Yep.
And it was such a beautiful game because they kept the spook. It wasn't as scary as the first two, but they kept the spook, you know, up in the sky. It was almost like, it was better because it was bright. You know, you expected it to be this bright, happy game, and it was dark and twisted in its own way.
It's funny because you can almost trace a parallel from Hereditary to Midsummer. Everything in Midsummer is daylight, and it's even scarier that it is.
Right.
And now
Well, yeah.
BioShock in a bubble, first two games, dark, under the sea.
It's going to be scary. You
It's gonna
expect
be
it to be
scary.
scary. Your brain's in a scary state.
Yeah, and then you got these splicers all hopped up on drugs.
Yeah.
Face all mangled. You got hooks for arms. Then you take
Yelling
it to the
like
sky, and everybody's
obscenities.
singing, and life is
Happy.
good up there. And then the only thing you have to worry about is these cops and handymen. So like, it perfectly flipped the script from you being this like back against the wall, have no resources in the first game, to an Infinite being almost like a godlike character.
Right. especially once you unlocked your grappling hook.
Yeah.
Man, the melee kills with that were just
Yep.
my favorite. Like
The
grab the dude by
executions.
like the face and like
Yep.
then he just turns it on and just
Yeah.
Right. I don't. For me, I think that. So, are you saying? Okay, so your question was the game.
What was probably like your favorite game that you back in the day could always go back to? You probably played it a million times over and over.
And you felt like you identified with.
Yes. Yes. Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm sure that there. I'm sure that there's probably another game like in my head that I just haven't thought of. But the first thing that came to mind, and it's not even particularly old, but I think that this game came out around the time where I started like making a more like a bigger connection to video games as like an art form.
Yeah.
Not so much something that you mindlessly play in front of a TV. Well, there's two. I will do an honorable mention.
For sure.
I will say I'm going to go with Halo.
Okay.
And I know
Most
that
definitely.
might seem like a generic answer to
Nah,
some,
but it
like,
was one of those games, man.
but it wasn't one, and it's not even necessarily the first one, because the first one, when that came out, I was too young. So I played it, and I could understand the story to an extent, like it's man versus alien, like that simple concept.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. At that age, I didn't understand how the Halos worked. How there's like
Right.
you are literally on like a world in a ring.
Right.
Like I just didn't get that.
Like,
in my
well,
head.
even with the graphics and the age and the story, like
Yeah.
it was hard to explain like the magnitude of that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So kind of going back to that, but I would say the Halo 2 just fucking got me,
Dude.
because I was just old enough, because I think I got it right around when it came out, not that long after it came out. I might have gotten like a year after it came out, but I remember playing it, and I remember kind of playing the first one a little bit. I don't even full disclosure, I don't think I finished the first one by the time the second one came
Oh, wow.
out. So I had to kind of fill in the blanks in my own head. Because they do kind of do a recap for you in Halo 2. But Halo 2 was so good because you could I replayed it all the time. And I never played it online, which I know is like one of the best ones to play online.
I was just about to say, like, it was like one of the first games to really like just bring that fast paced online multiplayer action too.
Yeah.
Like you had Call of Duty and stuff.
Did they have skulls in Halo?
They had
2?
skulls in it
Okay.
too. So you could like, the only way to find different armor was to complete these skull challenges.
Sure.
And it was its own built-in like mystery, because the game didn't tell you how to get these. You had to like find outside sources on how to get these skulls.
Game Informer.
Yeah,
Dude,
seriously.
Game Informer,
Honestly.
or you could remember. I remember back in the early 2000s, especially, you could get like the actual official guide.
Yep.
For the game. I think I had the World of Warcraft one.
It was almost necessary back in the day.
Yeah,
The
because
World
you
of
didn't have
Warcraft
like. I remember let me guys ask you this: when you guys like again in the early 2000s, you didn't have like game updates like you do now. Like you could like bug fixes and everything like that.
You stuck with your bugs and you learned them.
And in the one game in particular, actually, this one game in particular, I'm gonna poke fun at, because the original
Tread cautiously there.
the original launch version of this game was almost impossible to beat, because there was literally no guide in game at all. You were literally up to your own devices. Kingdom Hearts.
Dude, Kingdom Hearts is the only reason I quit playing that game, was because I just didn't get it. And I had never like played Final Fantasy, so like the turn-based thing initially just didn't make a whole lot of sense.
Kingdom
to me.
Hearts was not turn-based.
No, I'm
No.
thinking of the handheld one then.
There is a handheld version that is
the
turn-based.
DS
Yeah.
one.
Sure.
Oh, actually, that's a really good point you bring up. And I know, in the sense of the game, like all the games, it is like revered as like the one of the better ones. I hated Chain of Memories. Chain of Memories was the turn-based one.
Oh,
Well,
you see, that's how far out of the turn-based like world I was, because I've never even heard of that.
The very first Kingdom Hearts game, I think it came out in 2002 for the PS2.
Okay.
And like I said, you like it's even playing like the newer ones, like that very old style kind of formulaic game format where, like, I'll give you an example. Like when you're fighting a boss And that old school format is like you have to hit the boss when it's like you get like the right opportunity to.
Right.
Like there's always like an opening. Like the boss has like 3 main attacks that he cycles through, but he has this one opening that's your chance to attack. And like you can't like it's not like a simple like hack and slash blah blah blah. So that's kind of what that game was. But it was like every trope of those older games and like doing things like a specific way, but then not telling you how to get through any of the fucking game. Literally, the
leave
first,
you to it.
The first version of Kingdom Hearts, the very first one, like not the remix, not the remix version, which is what when they kind of redid it. But which is I'll get into that story because it's kind of funny from a developer standpoint. But I never beat it. I never beat it because the story made sense. Like, okay, you're fighting darkness. You're going to these different Disney worlds, which obviously we all knew Disney. Yeah. And you're fighting darkness and you're sealing off the blah, blah, blah. And like I said, I never finished it when I was that young because there was literally no guide to tell you what to do. There was no waypoint. There was literally fucking nothing.
Right.
So a lot of people that I found out, like, same thing. They never fucking beat the game because they didn't tell you how to do shit.
And it was such a long story too.
If you don't know what you're doing, yes. If you know what you're doing, you can speedrun it pretty good.
Okay.
If you don't know what you're doing, it's a fucking atrocity. But and then what they did was this is a good point. So they actually, when it came time to do they call it the remix, which is them like just kind of putting it's like their version of like updating the game.
Yeah.
They actually they didn't have the game files. They deleted the entire game.
Wow.
So I'm literally
just had re-download it from a disc.
So Square Enix actually had to rebuild the game from scratch to do the remix.
Oh, how annoying.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
I think that they were.
So what do you go off like?
I think
like documents and script, or do you have somebody playing it right next to you and you're like,
I would imagine they would have storyboards for it,
But if they deleted the game, what did they do the rest of it?
No, I think that they were able to extract a lot of it from like a copy of the game.
Right.
But I think that in their own studio, they deleted the game. So if like I said, this is what I tell people, if you've never played Kingdom Hearts and you want to, don't. because I have friends who buy like you can get the whole Kingdom Hearts collection for like your console for like $40. I think now it's on PC as well. But
you see, I'm at that point in my life where like I feel like I have the attention span to play through it, and if you're telling me to not, like I won't.
Well, it's not even so. It's not so much the attention span. It's not that, and I think that the best one in the series is Kingdom Hearts 2. It's like hands down, it's the best game in that series.
Definitely.
And Kingdom Hearts 3 only came out like 2 years ago, and it really wrapped up the story pretty well. But I think that the people that I saw reviewing Kingdom Hearts 3 are the ones that had just entered the series and played through all the games now.
Yeah.
Not back when they were kids.
Right.
So like I said, they have all of that really, really old formulaic kind of like older game quirks like Crash Bandicoot and like Jak and Daxter like that. So they didn't enjoy that. They're like, oh, well, this game doesn't have all the nuances of the late 2000s. Like, well, yeah, because it's not fucking from then.
Right. It's from 02. Okay.
Yeah,
it's got its own type of style. Like,
but yeah,
was it? It had like the commercial, I remember it had like what was like Evanescence or something do the theme song or something for it.
Her name is it's actually a Japanese artist.
Okay.
It's a Hattori Yukatu, something like that.
You see, like back then, like I wasn't like the weeb I am now.
Right.
So like that
you would like it
then.
Either. I think you would like it because it's made by Square Enix, like a Japanese company. Right. So it's all, like they have fucking like anime hair and shit.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But so going back to like games that I've replayed and like I can play it over and over again, Halo for sure, and we'll do an episode about Halo. But honorable mention, and like I said, it came out at a time where I kind of understood like games a lot more as an art form.
Definitely.
Fable 2.
We've talked about this a little bit. Yeah, for sure.
No
I
joke.
believe it.
Yeah, it was. I had it for the Xbox 360. I think it was an exclusive. Actually, it was an Xbox exclusive.
Yep. I can still see like the title screen, like on my
Yep.
home thing next to my
yeah.
dude.
Yep. Yeah, Fable 2, and because in the opening scene they had the music box, and your sister gets killed because of the music box.
Right at the beginning.
Right at the fucking beginning.
They're just like, hey,
You become an orphan
welcome
right
to
away.
the new game.
Yeah.
This is sad.
Yeah. So
Have fun.
so the game starts off as like you
Hold
and
on
your
to your
sister.
butts.
Hold on to your butts, people. No, the game literally starts off as like you're an orphan with your sister, and you discover this music box that can grant wishes, and like the rich, weird, like secluded, like eccentric businessman invites you into his mansion to like be fed and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But his whole purpose was to rob you of the music box, and he ends up killing your sister. Like he said, if I remember correctly, you're like at the top of a tower, and he sends you out the tower. She dies, and you live, and then you obviously, and then the game kind of starts from there. But that's the prologue. But yeah,
It's so sad.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
I would say, yeah, because that was the first game. That game was revolutionary because it presented you with like with choice.
Yeah.
At a pretty, you had games of choice before that, like in Knights of the Old Republic, and like I think even Dragon Age might have been out by then. But
That's why I like BioShock so much.
exactly, because I think BioShock was what 05, 06, the first one. Yeah, but the fact that you, depending on how you played, especially if you were like more like good moral standing or like bad, your appearance would change.
Right.
Yeah.
You could be
like
really cool and dark and didn't.
you could be
demonic,
great.
but
Yeah,
you,
you
had
could
to
be-
get there by being
No.
a piece of shit.
No joke. Yeah. So you could either be like angelic and like be good natured and like give to the poor, blah blah blah.
Not have the cool skin.
Oh, actually, let me tell you like about this hack that I used to do all the time in Fable 2.
How could you?
It's so funny. So there was a mechanic where you could earn money in Fable 2. I don't know if it's because you owned a store. I think you could own property and you could rent out the property. That's how you earned money.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I used to do is, so how it worked was you'd save up like X amount of dollars to like buy like the first apartment you could rent out, and you'd get like maybe like 800 gold a day, like an actual day, like a full day, like in real time.
Yeah.
Now what I used to do is I would get off of Xbox Live,
Okay.
go to my console settings, and then crank it up to $21.99,
Oh my
and then
Lord.
go back into the game and then get all that money. But I wasn't done there. then I would buy 4 more apartment properties, rent those out. I do this process until I owned all the property in the game, and then it was just a fucking money train, dude. Dude, I would, and then because this is the other hack you could do. So let's say that if you wanted to stop looking like a fat, gluttonous piece of shit and wanted to look more good looking because you were like an honorable person,
Yeah.
this is what I used to do. So I would go to the homeless man. There was a homeless man in Albion,
Okay.
and I would give him 40 million gold, and it would up your honor
Yeah,
for
like
as
by
much
a
gold
lot.
as you give him. So
Jesus
I
Christ.
would. So this is what I would do. I would go give him gold. I would be like this fat fucking. I would have horns and shit, like red eyes, like gluttonous fucking evil piece of shit. Right?
Yeah.
Go give this blind man $40 million.
Come on,
Go
just-
home and go to bed. Wake up like fucking looking like Ryan Reynolds, dude. It was awesome, dude. That game was really really good. It was an awesome game.
I love it.
What about you, Alex?
For me, I was a Zelda kid. Like, but I had other games like besides Zelda, but Zelda like got me into the open world dungeon crawling, the effort put in by like a development company for like different games, because like by the time I had gotten into it, there was a bunch of handheld ones. There was the N64. There was A Link to the Past on Super Nintendo. So there was so much already to play. So I was able to just kind of like sink my teeth in like really, really, really hard, and just became like literally like a lifestyle. That's why I'm obsessed with like the Renaissance Fair and all that. Like
sure.
I am just like, it all stemmed from just a love for the Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, Link definitely fits in a Renaissance Fair.
I have a buddy who has a really cool like steampunk Link costume, and it just looks so good. He does his own leather work, and
that's
like
awesome.
he's got this black master sword. It's badass. And my favorite thing of the Ren Fairs is just go and look for the links.
Oh,
There's
sure.
there's hundreds.
You find at least one.
Like you can always find a link.
Yeah.
But besides like Legend of Zelda, games for me were definitely like Spyro the Dragon.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was a big Spyro the Dragon kid. I loved that game so goddamn much. All three of them.
That's a good
and
call.
Like everything after it, like even they're like, I played Skylanders because it was fun. And I have all the figurines still. Spent way too much money. But the original 3 games were just like iconic. It was just like that run, shoot, play in levels. There's levels to complete, you know.
Yep.
And that's what I loved about like old video games. You went into the level, there's a level to do and complete. Yep. And like I loved it, and I loved like just being a little fucking dragon, getting to glide around and burn stuff. And so that was always one like I've always gone back and played. I even still play it now. I have it on my Switch, like all 3 of them. It's great.
Yeah, because I think for the PS2 we had Ripto's Rage, the second one. I think it's the second one.
It's a PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Insomniac went to Jack and Daxter after that.
Yeah.
No, that's Naughty Dog. Wait a second.
Naughty
Dog.
Insomniac did Ratchet and Clank.
Let me just say this. Let me just say this.
Because they each had their flagship.
Yeah.
I can't even believe that I fucking glossed over these 3 games because they were fucking amazing in my childhood, especially for PS2. When I had a PS2, it was like my parents did like a 180 where they're like, oh, we gave you fucking 0 games for all the other consoles. Yeah. They bought me a fuck ton of games.
Well, and then they were like, cool, this is the easiest present I can get.
Yeah, because it was every
$40.
Every
year, you're going to love it.
Every year, every birthday, I could do chores from the house. They just knew they give me games because they just knew what I wanted.
Oh, it kept you busy. Like, kept you out of their hair, kept you out of trouble. Yeah. Like, deal with, like, having kids now. Like, I get it. Like, put a game in front of them. Play it.
And I tell you, and like I said, Ratchet and Clank was so fucking good.
Oh my god, they were great, dude. Those games are incredible.
The first one and the sequel was good too. Yeah. They were both really fucking good because I think the sequel there was like a racing mechanic to it. You could like race.
Yeah, you raced on the hoverboards.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, the hoverboards. Hell yeah.
But that was in the first one because I remember you were talking about money glitches before. There was a money glitch in it was Blackwater City in Ratchet and Clank 1. There was like a hoverboard race, but you had to get this gun called the Taunter, and all it did was just like yell at enemies, but it would like break boxes and stuff too.
Oh, sure.
But you had to like do some button sequence when you started the race in that city, and you'd be off your board and you could just run through it and there was nobody there. So you could run, and there's this one spot where there's a bunch of boxes and they just reloaded all the time, like immediately. So you could sit under it and hit the taunter and it would just collect bolts for you. And I remember me and my brother, we figured this out, and we, one night we just like put a C-clamp on the controller and just let it run all night and like wake up with just millions of bolts. Like you could buy whatever you wanted. It was great.
Yeah, because they had the arms dealer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the only way to get the Rhino, was that like cool like Jericho launcher, you know?
It was just a pair of eyes like with like a black background. Like,
yeah,
this mystery like arms dealer guy. I remember in Ratchet and Clank, I remember the first one a little bit more, but I remember the guns were so fucking cool.
They were so creative.
Yeah.
And then Ratchet and Clank 2, you could kind of like, you could upgrade the guns and stuff like that. And like they changed how they looked, they changed how they fired. And like you could go down like a certain tree with it. How if you wanted like, they had the scatter gun. It was like a shotgun, but it was like a big ass shotgun. You could either go like tighter groupings, like a little bit more damage from that, or you go like super high damage, but good luck hitting something.
Oh, sure.
And like I remember like thinking that was so cool, like just being able to like upgrade a gun. Like what?
Customizability.
Yeah. Because they even started with the first one because you could get all the different suits for Clank too.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
Get the helicopter. You started.
Oh,
with
that was my favorite.
Dude, it was so cool. Like,
that was a really cool game. Like I said, games not like I don't know about you guys, but when games are announced nowadays, I get very skeptical about buying games.
Oh, seriously, same here.
Like, Cyberpunk, I pre-ordered right away because CD Projekt Red, all the Witcher series they knocked that out of the park.
Dude, they hyped Cyberpunk up so much over all the years, and I think that was their issue. It was like,
well, not
it was
even
this
that
project that they weren't like taking as seriously as they wanted to, but they had a ton of hype behind it.
I think the community had some responsibility for that.
That's true.
I do too. Like,
this is one thing I'll say about Cyberpunk, and I'm somebody who pre-ordered the game, by the way.
I'm someone who bought it day one.
Yeah. So like I know there was a lot of hate towards CD Projekt Red where they were getting like death threats for releasing a broken game. And everyone was, and then people responded by blaming the community for making them rush the game, and then people were blaming CD Projekt Red for giving in and releasing a broken product, blah blah blah. Never quoted Nintendo like, "Oh, a rushed game is never good," blah blah blah, like that whole quote.
It also didn't help that they pushed it back like 4 times
Seriously.
Well,
Over the course of what, too? Like
over the course of like
8
months.
years? No, they
yeah.
pushed it back like from like initial.
because
Like,
it was announced in 2012.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
you know,
Let me just okay. So then I finally warmed up to the idea of like, okay, you guys had, and I get that like it was a little bit like the scope of what they were trying to accomplish was pretty big. I understand that part, but 8 years of development, and that's what you came up with. It was fucking atrocious.
that's why I think like behind the scenes, it was more of just like this side project. Like, hey, when you have time, work on this, you know, type of thing. Where
And-
what else was Project Red doing back then?
I think
like, throughout
they've
that time?
only done The Witcher. I
They're
think.
just supporting Witcher the whole time.
And
Yeah.
I mean, God bless them for it because it's a beautiful series. It's an incredible series, and honestly, like, look at what it's done for them.
I mean, which got better over time, and that
Yeah.
took how long until after Witcher 3 came out to be like the most beautiful game now.
Yeah, seriously.
Which is okay. So The Witcher 3. That is CD Projekt Red is a game developer, and to put this in perspective, I think GTA 5 had a budget of like 100 million, and like this.
What at first? Because they at least spent
Yeah,
like
to
200 at
build
this
the
point.
base game, it was $100 million, I think, and they obviously had like Rockstar's a pretty big game studio by this point. CD Projekt Red had 12,
million.
and they created one of the greatest games that has ever existed.
Right.
And their DLC, that is another company who has nailed DLC like to a T. Heart and Wine or whatever it is? Like
Yeah.
that could be its whole fucking game.
Yeah,
It was so big.
Do you guys play Gwent?
I do.
I actually
sometimes,
did play.
For sure.
Yeah, I remember
Like-
because Gwent. There's a mobile app for Gwent, isn't there?
Yep.
I did play Gwent a little bit in game. I wasn't super sold on it though.
Oh.
It was fun
You weren't
though.
a Magic kid, were you?
It was just
No,
always
I was Yu-Gi-Oh kid though.
like in,
well.
in Witcher, Gwent was always just like this side thing to do if you really, really liked it. But it was just never like I never felt the urge to like, oh, I need to get this card, I need to get that
I
card.
didn't either.
Oh, you
It
see.
really never progressed the game that much though.
I was a card kid, man. Like,
Oh, yeah?
I grew up on like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Magic. Like, so they were like Gwent. I was like, well, what do I need to do? Give me the missions,
Right.
please.
And
Like,
those games, so like those like tabletop games, like especially in D&D is probably the OG for this. D&D in like as a kid, we're just talking games in general at this point.
hey, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Press X to continue, video game podcast.
Exactly.
All games included. D&D I didn't play as a kid.
Okay.
Like growing up,
Yeah.
I thought that was like the like lame like dweeby thing to do, blah blah blah, like legitimately.
Yeah.
But as I became an adult, I realized how cool it was and how much in depth. It's like the ultimate form of playing pretend. You know
It
what I
is
mean?
the ultimate form of playing pretend. If you didn't want to be a theater kid, you played D&D.
Which is crazy because
You know what I mean?
I started playing D&D as an adult, and I got really excited to play
Yeah.
because I was like, "Holy shit! Like we can just play in this world that we create, and like
Dude,
our characters are our
its
own." Like,
just universe. It's a
Yeah.
whole character just kind of get out of yourself and dive into. Like,
The fact
I'd rather be my character some days than be myself, you
the
know?
fact that in like that form of entertainment, the fact that you could just play that game, and maybe you had to get like the player's guide or like the DM's guide.
Yeah.
Maybe you had to get that, and maybe like the fourth edition or whatever you had, but you didn't have to play with internet. This
No.
is before D&D Beyond. This is before all that shit.
Well, even 5th edition, when 5th edition came out, like D&D Beyond wasn't a thing. Like
Yeah.
that came later. But 3.5 was big when I got into like high school.
Yeah, 'cause
3.5 was great. And then Pathfinder came out. And everybody's like, well, let's check this out. Another system. It was built just like 3.5. And then Wizards came out with like 4th. And 4th was weak. You
Yeah.
know, it was hard to play. It was clunky. It was like really painstaking where like then they came out with 5th edition, which is That's what everybody plays. Is what Matt Mercer plays.
It's probably the best version.
It is the best version.
I think
it
fifth
is simple. It
yeah.
is easy enough, but it still has
It's got
all
enough
the depth you
complexity to
want
it, yeah.
without having you like have to wrap your entire brain into the numbers behind it instead of just the role playing.
Okay.
You know,
which I think is like a pretty good because which is weird to think of D&D as like an actual entity that you know produces its own lore and like additions of the game, things that there's like an entity behind D&D itself, but you could pick up, you don't have to play by those fucking rules. You could just D&D is just like just a broad like statement, just playing pretend with like dice with your friends, basically.
honestly, you can make your own system with a sheet of paper if you wanted to.
Yeah, and that's
just enough to where like if you want to take your friends through an adventure, you don't need the entire stat block. You just need a creative DM and players who want to play.
And I have respect to the creativity like of DMs too, especially Matt Mercer.
Oh, dude.
So
beautiful.
Yeah, and well, I mean, they're all voice actors, so it probably helps. They've like for voice actor for like like RPGs and stuff, but
So I'm a Dungeons and Daddies guy, not a Critical Role guy.
Yep.
but the fact that like even like in my own campaign, the fact that like DMs put in a lot of work into creating this environment, creating this world for your characters to do, and the fact that no, I've never done the tabletop experience for D&D. The people that play D&D with are all over the country, and we play it. We join.
It's easier on a computer now.
Yeah, we're on Discord, and we just have D&D Beyond up, and we just do it that way.
Yeah.
So we're
well, there's even resources for like maps and battles and stuff.
Yeah.
That's live. Like my group, we use this one called Roll20. The DM can put the battlefield up. He can put the NPCs and the enemies and stuff all in it.
Yeah.
And, you know, he still takes care of like the hard work, like on his end.
Yeah.
But, you know, you have your character. So you're all sitting there in front of your webcam with your stat blocks on like one screen here. It makes it easier for the DM too to be able to just change windows instead of finding a fucking sheet of paper with another like stat block for an enemy or something.
What's up? Oh, you need another beer?
Yeah, I think Christian needs a beer.
Sure.
But what I liked most about 5th edition is it made it easier for DMs to be creative. It made it easier for DMs to make a world of their own while still having the resources like their game modules where you could like play like Curse of Strahd or stuff like that. And with 5th edition, it made it just super simple for it. You guys know... what's his name? Something Harmon. What's Mark Harmon? No,
Yeah.
not Mark Harmon.
Oh, Mark Harmon's from
Mark
Harmon
Harmon's
is from
NCIS.
NCIS. Because I almost agree with you.
Gibbs,
Too. Oh yeah, Mark Harmon.
Yeah. No, why can't I think?
Dan Harmon?
Dan Harmon. Thank you. One of the writers for Rick and Morty, or
Yeah.
used to be. But he has his own like show / podcast where he plays DM or D&D with a couple voice actors. The one British guy from Whose Line Is It Anyways?
Oh, okay.
He plays a goblin on it. And what they do for every episode is it's called Harmon Quest.
Oh.
And every episode they have a celebrity come on. So they have 3 players. It's Dan Harmon, his ex-wife, and then that voice actor. I can't think of his name right now. And then a celebrity. And at the end of the episode, the celebrity dies or they turn evil and disappear. So you know they're going to come back. But it's really well done. But how he started that was he was doing his podcast live at a show. He was like, I think we want to play a little like D&D. He's like, do we have any DMs in like the audience?
Wow.
This kid, Spencer, comes up. He like puts his hand up. He's got a notebook. Like it's all in his head, but he's got a notebook for just like story arcs and just things to go off of. But he has all the stat blocks. All he needs is a D20 and he plays them through it. All they need to do is voice act and, you know, pay attention to their moves and stuff like that.
Sure.
And this kid just came up on stage, played a 2-hour session with him right there.
Wow.
And just now he's like been like inducted into his show. Like he's his guy. Like
That's
he's
amazing.
the one who does Harmon Quest.
Sure.
But if you have Verve, the streaming service, it's on that.
Okay.
Definitely give it a watch. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I think with my group, so what's his name? Joe what's his name? What is it?
Joe Manganiello.
Joe Manganiello. So he's obviously like a big
Yes.
like D&D celebrity person. He's like his own
He's
like
the only person to make it on like the cover of a magazine for being a celebrity playing D&D.
He's literally the hottest D&D player.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Which
He's
is
the DM,
insane
like,
much.
He's the hottest D&D player.
Okay, so the fact that he's like this whole basement dungeon, and he plays with like a lot of celebrities. I think Vince Vaughn plays with him, and like I think Stephen Colbert has. He's had a bunch.
He's had a couple just like big names on.
Yeah,
there.
I think he has like a lot of MMA and wrestlers play with him.
Okay.
So I think the fact that he is a celebrity, and the fact that everyone asks him about it too. Like everyone's always like, oh, they don't want to talk to him like movies. Don't want to talk to him about D&D.
Yeah.
Which I think is super super cool. And because he plays a paladin Oathbreaker, which is a paladin who
Oathbreaker paladin.
because he breaks his covenant and now he's evil.
Yes.
And which is cool because I was looking for kind of when I first started, I was
He
like,
would.
Yeah.
He would.
because I play a paladin in my campaign.
Okay.
So I was kind of like, and I follow like like a strict creed of faith and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So the fact that he
Best
was
part
like
about paladins.
the complete and the fact that he's a complete opposite. And which is it's so funny. So one of the people in my my D&D crew is actually my cousin. Well, actually two of them are my cousins. Yeah, my party. Two of them are my cousins, and their mom is like strict like Orthodox Catholic, right? Like old like Roman Catholic, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So she's always like kind of viewed D&D as like kind of like, oh, the devil's blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like that kind of shit.
Oh,
And we always make fun of her for it.
Grew up in an Irish Catholic home.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Right?
So my cousins always fuck with her and go like, oh, we're gonna go play D&D. We're gonna go worship the devil, and she always gets super mad. So I'll go over to her house and they're like, you guys play that D&D like the devil worship, and I go, Auntie, I literally play a paladin. She goes, what's that? I go, I'm a holy warrior who expels evil with the power of light.
Yeah.
I literally walk around with a cross as a weapon.
Yeah, I was like, I literally like I follow a code of laws by a higher power. And
Literally exercise demons.
I fight evil, like I fight evil, like the concept of evil. Yeah. So she was like, "Oh, okay, that's kind of cool, actually." I was like, "You motherfuckers kill a whole bunch of people in the Crusades. The fuck?"
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Honestly, I am your god now.
Yeah, I'm a paladin.
But it's
bitch.
funny you say that because like back in the day, D&D was one of the main vehicles for the Satanic Panic.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like when D&D came out, it's crazy.
You know what it started with? I learned this from a podcast. There's this kid, I forget where he lived. I got all the information from a podcast, so I forgot half of it.
Yeah.
But he was this like serial killer of like a teenager. And like he was the original goth kid, lived out in the middle of bumfuck nowhere and went to school with all his buddies where they dressed in black and shit like that.
Right.
But he played D&D, but then he ended up becoming like a satanic cultist, like murderer.
Yeah.
And so like that's what it got like super associated.
Oh, okay,
with
sure.
Satanism.
Yeah.
Like they were like, no, D&D is the Satan's
Yep.
game. It's like, have you seen any videos of Gary Gygax?
Right.
The man's the furthest thing from.
Yeah, Gary Gygax is a fucking just dweeby dude.
Yeah, if you heard
He's
that,
bored.
he'd just be spinning in his grave.
Seriously.
Like-
He'd probably laugh.
Probably, yeah.
I can see Gary Gygax laughing. Which, speaking of, if y'all have dice, we need to go out to Lake Geneva and go bless our dice.
See, that's another thing. I've never played D&D, but it's so interesting to hear people talk about it.
I need to start DMing
because-
for you guys.
I would love that.
Yeah, because
do.
I love the story aspect of
Yeah.
it.
It's so much fun.
And even
Yeah.
if you play like one of the actual like
The modules are great because it's
even
all
if you play
built.
a module,
It's right there.
or even if you play like if you play like an actual story from like 5th edition, like an actual like story arc, that's still just as fun.
It is.
Right.
It really is.
Because it's easier for the DM, and it's especially easier for first time DMs and players because it's already scripted.
Right.
You just have to follow like the path, and then the character's a little bit easier for you to understand, everything like that. But
Right.
otherwise, if you have a really creative DM, he can kind of guide you through that. Like if you have a good DM,
call it
who's not a-
railroading.
who's not a fucking yeah. If you have a good
Put
DM,
your ass on tracks.
if you have a good DM who's not a fucking dick and like a gatekeeper of D&D, then you'll have a fun time. But otherwise, you could. I've been asked to DM a Star Wars D&D campaign. Yeah, so I was like, dude, I've never DM'd. I'm like, I'll totally fucking do that.
It's easy. There's actually, so somebody took the D&D 5th edition system and put it into a like Star Wars-esque universe. So you can take all the stat blocks from that. You have the guns, you have like laser swords and all that. But it's called Spaceships and Star Worms, and it is badass. It is so much fun.
But wouldn't both Jedis and Sith be considered paladins?
I think more Jedi more than Sith.
Jedi would be paladin. I think
Oathbreaker are Sith.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So
Right.
paladin
Sure.
oathbreakers would be Sith. So that's why I was like,
But would you want to make a campaign that's black and white, like
No.
Jedi Sith?
No,
you
'cause
would
That's
want,
the best part about it. Yeah,
I think-
it's turning off the black and white. Where's the
Right,
gray?
the
Show
gray.
me the gray.
Show me a Tusken Raider, like
so show me Tusker. Who's
Tusken
that?
Raider
a
Sith.
barbarian. Oh yeah, Tusken Raider Sith.
You know what's so
That'd be
funny is
awesome.
like I think the joke would be that like if somebody was playing like a stormtrooper, your die is just like a race, like 4 through 20, because stormtroopers can't hit shit.
Oh, right.
Yeah, anything below a 7 is a crit fail.
Yeah, exactly. Like roll me a perception check. Like, oh, I rolled a 2. Yeah, well, you're gonna use
Well,
the
you
small
can't
die.
No matter what, you just have negatives.
You
to,
can't see
like,
through the
check.
eye slits of your helmet. So.
No.
Apparently not, because they can't hit fucking anything.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Should we close right there for episode 1?
I suppose.
I think we
Or
should.
do we want to move to who would you cast in the upcoming D&D movie?
Ah, yes.
'Cause that
and
is
this
the
episode
thing.
on who we would cast.
And that is a thing that is coming out in the next couple of years.
D&D movie
Yes.
coming out?
What's it?
All right, hold on.
Labeled.
You guys talk amongst yourselves. I gotta go pee.
Okay.
I do have to be too.
All right, I'll just hit the pause
shut
button.
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Magic of the pause button. Had to take a little pee break. But you left and we were going to talk about the casting for the D&D. What is it, a show?
It is a movie that is in development right now.
That's so
They
fucking
already
cool.
casted Chris Pine. So what
Oh,
I
okay.
think is going to happen, to set the scene, you have 4 kids, Stranger Things. You know how Stranger Things opens up
Yeah.
as the kids playing D&D?
Yeah.
What I think is going to happen, they're going to have that little cute thing of them
Is
playing
the show going to
D&D.
be about like their
And then the
theater of
camera's
mind?
going to zoom in on the board, and then boom, like you're in the world of D&D.
Oh,
Jesus
like a-
Christ,
like-
that is the best.
That's like
That's
that's like a Jumanji situation.
Yeah, that's what I was
almost.
saying.
That's so
And I'm
cool.
like, I don't know if that's exactly what they're doing, but that's exactly how I would do it.
That's
For
how
real.
I would do
Like
it too.
the easiest
Seriously.
vehicle to do it, unless you just throw the audience into the world already.
Where I think, to make it a show for everybody, you start that way. Because then, people can like watch they don't need to know about the show. They need to know that it's kids playing the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
like that's how the Dota show was.
Right.
You had to know about Dota
Yeah.
to jump right into that.
And like throughout bits and pieces, you can make jokes and like going back to the kids doing something.
that
or
little like fourth wall break.
fourth wall break where you're like, oh, this kid sees himself as a buff paladin, just
Kid rolls a 1.
Yeah,
It just
kid rolls a
zooms in
1.
on his face and all his
Zooms
friends
in.
laughing.
Yeah,
zooms into Chris Pine doing some slapstick shit because he crit failed.
that would be
That'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, instead of doing it like Jumanji, where like they get trapped in the game, more so like kind of like where they have like in their imagination how the game is playing out, but
Right.
they're still like, just in the real world. I think I
Right.
like that idea too, because I think it ties enough to like the Jumanji concept,
Yeah.
that to where enough people will get it, and
Yeah.
it'll still be funny.
It also offers like some emotional development too. Like
Seriously.
like you come across as these kids like are so invested in this game and these characters, and like if one of them dies, like these kids are crushed.
They're going to be crushed.
Yeah.
And then think about like the lightheartedness that they could have from that kid rolling a new
Right.
character. You
and
know,
you
like,
can also make it like some kid finds out something about himself.
oh my Lord.
Boom.
Well, if they don't make it that way, Christian, we got a show.
I mean, this is almost stepping into the porno me and Kyle directed in Hot Lemonade.
Oh my
Y'all
god!
directed a porno? I can't wait to listen.
So I have a podcast called Hot Lemonade, and Christian was on it, and holy cannoli!
Yeah.
We went so in depth. We like scripted a whole fucking porno.
Yep.
I kind of feel like we should pitch it.
We might have to.
We might have to, yeah. I might actually pull copyright if someone tries to do some shit like that. But, yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. Well, thanks for listening to Press X to Continue, and we will see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.